We want to get to some breaking news now. There has been a verdict in the Diddy trial. We want to get to CBS News national correspondent Jericka Duncan joining us live from New York City with the very latest. Jericka.
Good afternoon. There is information coming in right now. I want to read you exactly the note from Alice Gaynor. WCBS is in the courtroom. She said, "We have reached a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, 5, unable on count 1. That is that racketeering conspiracy." Again, this is what the note said. And it also said, have jurors with unpersuadable opinions. That they have jurors with unpersuadable opinions. Another note just came in from Alice Gaynor, and she said that the prosecution wants them to continue to deliberate. Says modified Allen charge, putting together a proposal. Defense says it's our request you tell the jury to keep deliberating. We will not take the partial verdict. Only been deliberating a day and a half. Don't think we need modified Allen charge. Tell them, receive their note. Judge says, do you request I bring jury out to provide instruction? Defense says, yes, bring them out. This is happening in real time. 55-year-old Sean Combs, as you know by now, is facing up to life in prison on that racketeering conspiracy charge. He's also charged with 2 counts of sex trafficking for the sex trafficking of his former ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, and a woman who went by the pseudonym of Jane. There is also a count for transportation to engage in prostitution. But again, right now, all that we know, according to this note, is that they have reached a verdict on all of the counts except for 1. It is unclear what will happen next. I'm literally reading these notes as they're happening. The judge said that there are 3 options. First, the defense's proposal, jury should keep at it, some version of the Allen charge, and that at some point case law indicates the court should advise them their ability to have partial verdicts, but I don't think we're at that stage yet. So that's where we are. It looks like they have reached a verdict again on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5, but they're saying they're unable to reach it right now on count 1, racketeering conspiracy, the most serious, that says that Combs led a criminal enterprise and that he committed at least 2 predicate acts. There are 8 that the jurors will see. We have a shot of the verdict sheet, but these are some of the crimes. If jurors find that just 2 within the racketeering, that would be a not guilty. So we'll, of course, continue to bring you the very latest, but this is happening as we speak. It almost feels like as the rain was coming down, we're getting all of this information. It was sunshine about 20 minutes ago. So we'll see what happens, but that is the very latest here from the courthouse in New York.
Yeah, Jericka, I know information is coming into you as we speak, and so you're relaying it to us. Can you explain how you're getting this information? Reporters in the courtroom, and we have partial verdicts, but not entirely. And so the judge is basically saying either you're going to have to go back and finish entirely, or are they going to regroup? What happens now? Do we know?
Yeah, so we have Alice Gaynor. She's a WCBS reporter. She has access to her phone in the courtroom, so she's able to give us notes. We also have a couple of reporters that are in the actual courtroom where all of this is taking place, where Combs is. We know that his mother is in that courtroom. We did not see his children here today, but we're not sure if maybe they will show up, knowing that the jury has reached a verdict in at least 4 of those 5 counts. As for what happens next, we will wait to get another note, but it sounds like the defense wants the jury to continue to deliberate, saying they've only been deliberating about a day and a half.
I know that there was a lot of questions that were also submitted to the judge. And so as you analyze or look into what those questions meant or didn't mean, is there anything that we can kind of glean from that? There was a question asked this morning as well before partial verdicts were reached.
That's right. So before we started the proceedings this morning, before the jurors went to deliberate, there was a question about what does distribution mean? And drug distribution is one of those criminal elements that fall underneath that racketeering conspiracy. So in my mind, I thought maybe they're done with the racketeering conspiracy and have moved on to the sex trafficking, because they then asked for transcripts and what testimony was given by a Daniel Phillip. This was the second person to testify in this trial many weeks ago, and he's a former male escort who said that he remembers possibly hearing abuse in another room when he was with Ventura Combs at a hotel here in New York City. So we have had, we're trying to read between the lines, if you will, about what those notes meant, but this one is very clear. The note saying that the jurors have reached a verdict in 4 of the 5 counts is huge. Now we're trying to figure out, will they have to continue to deliberate? Will this be a partial verdict? That remains to be seen at this hour.
And for those joining us on CBS News 24/7, partial verdict has been reached in the Sean Combs sex trafficking trial. Jericka, just for those tuning in right now, can you repeat what you heard from our reporter inside the courtroom on those specific charges where a verdict has been reached?
I'm so sorry. Can you say that one more time?
No problem. If you can, just repeat what the reporter had told you inside the courtroom in case people are following in right now or tuning in right now, because we have on our screen a verdict reached in the Sean Combs sex trafficking trial. But I want to make it clear that an entire verdict has not been reached, only partial. And so maybe go over some of the notes as to what you are getting from the reporter inside.
So I was actually outside just to set the scene, and I noticed Nicole Westmoreland, who's one of the attorneys for Sean Combs, was walking inside with a family friend of Sean Combs, and that was the first time I remember hearing there might be a note. Whenever there's a note, of course, we all sort of clamor together to figure out what does that mean. And these notes indicate, again, that they have reached a verdict in 4 of these 5 counts. Some of the notes that preceded that announcement, Alice Gaynor said at 4:26 this afternoon, Combs appears to be praying. His head is bowed, his hands are folded on his lap, that the attorneys were surrounding him. At 4:31, Combs' head was down, that he seems grim. Mark Agnifilo had just handed Combs a note. Mark Agnifilo is the lead attorney in this case. So you can even see, based on the media presence too, that people are starting to hear that there is a note and a development in this trial. I'm looking at notes as we're getting them again from Alice Gaynor. That note we already saw. But it really has been a remarkable day when you think about the 8 weeks that these jurors were told they would be here, and this is the 8th week. They heard over 30 witnesses. The defense didn't call any witnesses. They felt apparently that they had proven their case. When you look at the closing arguments of Mark Agnifilo, the lead attorney, he said that the prosecutors have, quote, charged one of the most serious, complicated, comprehensive statutes on the books. They have charged personal drug use and threesomes as racketeering. So that was the argument from the defense going into this deliberation period. Meanwhile, the prosecutor said the defendant was the head of Combs Enterprise, that it existed to serve his needs and what he wanted. The other members of the conspiracy and the Combs Enterprise were the defendant's inner circle. That inner circle, they said, was made up of his loyal lieutenants, his chief of staff, and his bodyguards, who helped him satisfy his every desire. Those were the words from Christy Slavic, who gave the closing arguments not long ago in reference to this trial involving Sean Combs.
Jericka, I know you're getting this information in real time. We'll let you gather more information. We'll come back to you, so stand by. We're going to bring in CBS News legal contributor Caroline Polisi with more on this. We're talking about partial verdict. Explain that and what is happening now in the courtroom.
Yeah, so what's happening now is the prosecution and the defense, along with the judge, are trying to decide what to do next. If at all possible, they would love to get to a verdict in its entirety. It does appear that they are having difficulty coming to a unanimous decision with respect to the RICO charge, which I would note is the most difficult and legally complex charge. But the options, and what I think likely will happen, is that since this is the first time the jurors are coming to the judge saying, look, we just can't come to a resolution, they'll be given what's known as an Allen charge, sometimes referred to as a dynamite charge, which is essentially just the judge telling them, go back at it, do your civic duty. If you can, at all possible, come to unanimous verdict. I mean, the issue here is people need to, and the instructions to jurors are, maintain your integrity with according to what you believe the evidence shows, but keep an open mind, engage in a robust discussion about the evidence, hear other jurors' points of view. And if you can come around to changing your mind with integrity, with really feeling that you've come to the right conclusion, then try to get to a verdict. Because a partial verdict, while it is acceptable technically, it's a difficult resolution, especially on this RICO charge, since it is one of those top charges. About that RICO charge, what needs to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, which I'm assuming they're having a difficulty with, is an enterprise, right? You think RICO, you think mafia, mob charges, a criminal racketeering conspiracy. And what needs to be shown is that over the course of a 10-year period, 2 predicate racketeering crimes were agreed to. Again, it's a conspiracy charge, right? So it's Sean Combs agreeing with one of his uncharged co-conspirators. And in this case, the co-conspirators that the prosecution has alleged is KK, Christina Koram, his chief of staff. And then they're saying he had this rotating body, these bodyguards that rotated throughout that 10-year to 20-year period.
All right, Caroline, I want to interrupt you just real quickly. Please stand by for more on breaking this down, but I do want to get back to CBS News national correspondent Jericka Duncan, joining us live from New York City now. Jericka, I know that you have more information just coming into you in real time. Why don't you tell us?
Yeah, and just to reset again, we're hearing notes from inside the courtroom that the jury has a decision on 4 of the 5 counts. But we're not sure whether or not they are definitely going to go back and deliberate. The prosecution wants them to continue to deliberate, as well as the defense. But the Combs children, we just saw 3 of his daughters that walked back in. So again, earlier I mentioned that it was just his mother that was here today, and that we noticed his attorneys go back inside within the last 45 minutes or so. And the notes that were coming in early on was that Combs appears to be praying, that he had his head bowed and his hands folded on his lap, that Combs' head was down and that he seems grim, and that Mark Agnifilo, his lead attorney, just handed Combs a note. That was around 4:30 this afternoon. So we're looking to get some more insight as to what's happening inside the courtroom. But again, the judge saying that the jury should keep at it, the defense wanting that to happen. But it's that racketeering conspiracy, count 1, that they have not reached a decision on.
And Jericka, behind you, we see a lot more activity than we did in just the past 15 minutes. Usually when a verdict is reached, family members are contacted. They show up to then hear what the verdict may be. So you're saying that right now his family is showing up. His mom was in the courtroom. But could that be a telltale sign that there's more of an announcement to be made?
It could be. I mean, his family has been here throughout the trial. A lot of times it's been his mother, 3 of his sons. His daughters were here early on in this trial, but to see that they just walked in could be a sign that there is more to come.
As we look at this, a partial verdict reached. This is breaking news right now. This information coming in within the last half hour. It's important to note that the judge hasn't made the final decision, correct, Jericka? So it's ultimately up to the judge to then tell the jury.
It looks like another sprinter just pulled up, and that's typical as well, because you'll see the girls will go in and then his sons will go in. So it's likely that his sons are in this vehicle right behind us, and I'm trying to see if I can get a better look. But it looks like that's what's happening right now. So to your point, I think everybody feels sort of the weight of this decision. I mean, Sean Combs is facing up to life in prison, and these are very serious charges, obviously being in federal court. But to hear again, the jury has reached a decision. They said on 2, 3, 4, and 5, and just to repeat that has to do with count 2. That's the sex trafficking of Cassie Ventura. Count 3 would be the Mann Act violation for Cassie Ventura. Count 4 is the sex trafficking of Jane. And count 5 is the Mann Act transportation for Jane. We see some of the sons with the umbrellas up as they enter into the courtroom or enter into the courthouse right now.